Knowing your worth is the foundational step to establishing the standards for how others treat you. It's not about arrogance or entitlement. It's about recognizing the inherent value you possess as a human being. Too often we place our worth in the hands of others, whether it's in their praise, their approval, or their validation. This external validation can be fleeting and unreliable, leaving us constantly chasing after something that may never be enough. But when you know your worth, you no longer rely on others to define your value. You stand in the fullness of your own identity and recognize that your worth is not determined by your achievements or the opinions of others. It's intrinsic to who you are. The journey to understanding your worth begins with self-awareness. It requires looking deep inside and acknowledging your strengths, your passions, and even your flaws. Each piece of your story, your experiences, both the joyful and painful, add to the rich mosaic of your being. This is where your worth lies, not in perfection, but in the fullness of your humanity. When you learn to see yourself through a compassionate lens, you begin to appreciate the unique combination of qualities that make you who you are. Understanding that you are enough just as you are is key to setting standards that reflect your true value. One of the most powerful ways to know your worth is by practicing self-compassion. We are often our own harshest critics, and we can be quick to dismiss our accomplishments or diminish our worth when we make mistakes. Self-compassion is about being gentle with yourself, especially during moments of struggle or failure. It's about understanding that mistakes are part of growth and that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love, respect, and kindness. When you practice self-compassion, you send a message to yourself and others that you are deserving of care and kindness, no matter the circumstances. Another important step in knowing your worth is recognizing the power of your choices. Your decisions, big and small, reflect your understanding of your value. When you make choices based on your values and not on fear or obligation, you affirm your worth. If you consistently choose to stay in situations or relationships that diminish your self-esteem or make you feel small, you are teaching others that this is how you expect to be treated. But when you choose situations that uplift you, where you are respected and cherished, you show yourself and others that your worth cannot be compromised. It's also essential to realize that knowing your worth means knowing when to walk away. There will always be situations and people that test your boundaries, that attempt to diminish your sense of self. But when you know your worth, you won't tolerate being treated in a way that goes against your values. Walking away doesn't mean cutting people off in anger or bitterness. It means choosing peace and self-respect over the discomfort of staying in unhealthy dynamics. It means that you honor yourself enough to say, this does not serve me and I deserve better. Knowing your worth is not something that happens overnight. It's a continuous journey. As you evolve, so will your understanding of your value. There may be moments when you doubt yourself or allow others to treat you less than you deserve. But the beauty of knowing your worth is that it's not a static point in time. It's a living, breathing understanding that can grow stronger with each challenge you face. Each time you assert your boundaries, each time you choose yourself, you strengthen that knowledge. And over time, you'll find that others start to treat you in the way that you've taught them to. Your worth is also reflected in the way you show up for others. When you know your value, you no longer feel the need to diminish others to feel better about yourself. Instead, you uplift and encourage those around you, recognizing that there is more than enough space for everyone to shine. By embodying your worth in this way, you set an example for others to do the same. When you walk in the fullness of your own value, you inspire others to do the same for themselves. Your self-respect becomes a ripple effect that encourages others to see their worth and in turn demand the respect they deserve. Ultimately, knowing your worth is a commitment to yourself. It's a promise to never settle for anything less than the love, respect, and kindness that you deserve. It's about standing tall in your truth, embracing who you are, and trusting that you are worthy of all the good things life has to offer. When you know your worth, you no longer give others the power to determine your value. Instead, you live each day from a place of confidence and self-assurance, knowing that you are enough just as you are. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness in today's world. We are conditioned to believe that strength lies in stoicism, in hiding our emotions, and in presenting an image of perfection. But vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, it is one of the most powerful qualities you can embrace. It takes immense courage to be open, to show up fully as who you are, and to allow yourself to be seen. The truth is, vulnerability is your strength because it allows you to build deeper connections, face your fears, and create a life that is authentic to who you truly are. At its core, vulnerability is about embracing your humanity. It's about recognizing that we are all imperfect and that imperfection is a beautiful, essential part of life. To be vulnerable means to share not only the good, but also the struggles and the hurts. When you let yourself be seen, with all your flaws and uncertainties, you show others that it's okay to be imperfect too. This creates a space where people can connect on a deeper level without the walls of pretense and perfection that so often divide us. Vulnerability creates genuine bonds because it fosters empathy, understanding, and trust. There is immense strength in being vulnerable because it allows you to face your own fears. It requires bravery to express your true thoughts, feelings, and desires, especially when you're uncertain of the response you'll receive. But by showing up authentically, you challenge the very fears that keep you from living a fulfilled life. Whether it's the fear of rejection, failure, or judgment, embracing vulnerability is a powerful way to confront and overcome these fears. Each time you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you prove to yourself that you can face discomfort and grow stronger as a result. One of the most transformative aspects of vulnerability is its ability to foster deep connections with others. When you open yourself up to others, when you share your true self, your hopes, your dreams, your struggles, you give others permission to do the same. This mutual exchange of vulnerability builds trust and creates an environment where authenticity can thrive. When you are vulnerable, you allow others to see the real you, which invites them to show up as their true selves as well. These kinds of connections are often the ones that leave a lasting impact because they are rooted in genuine understanding and compassion. Another important aspect of vulnerability is its connection to emotional resilience. Vulnerability doesn't mean living without pain, but rather it is the courage to experience the full spectrum of human emotions, joy, sorrow, fear, and love, and to allow them to move through you. It's the willingness to feel deeply, knowing that your emotions don't define you, but they inform your journey. When you embrace your vulnerability, you are more equipped to navigate life's ups and downs. You learn to lean into your emotions rather than avoid or suppress them. And this emotional flexibility helps you bounce back from setbacks with greater strength and wisdom. Vulnerability also plays a critical role in creativity and innovation. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you open the door to new possibilities. It takes vulnerability to put your ideas into the world, to share your vision, and to invite feedback, even criticism. But this openness is what allows creativity to flow. It's in the act of being vulnerable that you take risks and try new things. Whether it's creating art, starting a new project, or pursuing a dream, vulnerability is a key ingredient for breaking through barriers and achieving growth. It's through vulnerability that you discover new strengths, skills, and capabilities within yourself. Finally, vulnerability is the gateway to true freedom. When you release the need to control how others see you or to hide parts of yourself out of fear, you free yourself from the constraints of perfectionism and external expectations. Vulnerability allows you to let go of the constant need for approval and embrace your own self-worth. It invites you to live authentically, to follow your own path, and to make choices that align with your values rather than conform to others' standards. In this way, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate expression of personal freedom. It is the willingness to live fully without the need to hide or protect yourself, knowing that you are enough just as you are. In conclusion, vulnerability is your strength because it allows you to show up as your authentic self, free from the masks that often hold you back. It is through vulnerability that we forge deeper connections, face our fears, and create lives that are aligned with our true values. Rather than being a sign of weakness, vulnerability is an act of courage, a courageous choice to embrace your humanity, your imperfections, and your emotions. By accepting and practicing vulnerability, you step into a more empowered, authentic, and resilient version of yourself. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood as a form of separation, as if they create distance between you and others. But the truth is, boundaries are not barriers. They are the very framework that allows for healthier, more meaningful relationships. Boundaries are about self-respect, not exclusion. They are the clear lines you draw to protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being, ensuring that you can show up as your best self in any situation. Far from being a means of pushing people away, boundaries create space for connection, respect, and mutual understanding. One of the key aspects of boundaries is recognizing that they are a tool for self-preservation. We live in a world where demands are endless, and people often ask more of us than we can give. Without clear boundaries, we risk overextending ourselves, draining our energy, and ultimately compromising our well-being. Setting boundaries is not about rejecting others or being selfish. It's about ensuring that you have enough emotional and physical resources to give and receive love, kindness, and care. When you establish boundaries, you are saying, I value myself enough to honor my needs, my limits, and my capacity. Boundaries are also vital for maintaining a sense of personal identity. In relationships, whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, it's easy to lose sight of who we are as individuals. We may start to prioritize others' needs over our own, and in doing so, we can lose our sense of self. By setting boundaries, we carve out space to be our authentic selves. Boundaries allow us to be in relationship with others without sacrificing who we are. They create an environment where we can show up as whole, complete people without being molded or defined by the expectations of others. There's a common misconception that boundaries create conflict or lead to disconnection. In reality, boundaries are a vital ingredient for healthy communication. They provide clarity about what is acceptable and what isn't, which in turn reduces misunderstandings. When you set boundaries, you are giving people the tools they need to engage with you in a way that honors both parties. Boundaries help to prevent resentment and frustration as they allow for open and honest conversations about needs, expectations, and limits. By setting clear boundaries, you create an environment where both you and others feel heard, valued, and understood. Another powerful aspect of boundaries is that they teach us the importance of saying no. In a culture that often values people pleasing and constant availability, saying no can feel difficult or uncomfortable. However, saying no is one of the most empowering acts of self care you can practice. When you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you are saying yes to your own needs, desires, and well being. Boundaries give you the courage to stand firm in your convictions and prioritize your time and energy in a way that supports your overall health and happiness. Boundaries also enable us to maintain balance in our lives. Life is full of demands, work, family, friends, and personal responsibilities. And without boundaries, it's easy to become overwhelmed. By setting boundaries, we create a framework for managing our time, energy, and emotions. Boundaries help us to say yes to what truly matters and no to things that drain us. They are a practical tool for creating balance and ensuring that we don't lose ourselves in the chaos of life. With clear boundaries in place, we can maintain a sense of equilibrium and approach life's challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. In conclusion, boundaries are not barriers. They are the building blocks of healthy, respectful, and fulfilling relationships. They allow us to honor our own needs, maintain a strong sense of self, and engage with others in a way that fosters mutual respect and understanding. Setting boundaries is not about shutting others out. It's about creating the space necessary for deeper connection, growth, and well-being. By embracing boundaries, we create a life that is intentional, balanced, and filled with the peace that comes from knowing our limits and honoring them. The concept of leading by example is one of the most powerful tools in creating positive change in any aspect of life, whether it's in the workplace, in relationships, or in our communities. Leading by example means embodying the values and behaviors that you want to see in others. It's about showing up with integrity, kindness, and accountability in a way that inspires others to do the same. Far from being a passive approach, leading by example requires intentionality and self-awareness. It's about living in alignment with your beliefs and allowing your actions to speak louder than your words. When we lead by example, we give others a model to follow. People are naturally influenced by those around them, especially those in positions of leadership or influence. As humans, we learn a great deal from observation. And when we demonstrate the behaviors we wish to cultivate in others, we provide a tangible reference point. Leading by example isn't just about telling people what to do or encouraging them to act in certain ways. It's about showing them what's possible through our own actions. It's about living authentically and allowing others to be inspired by the way we navigate the world. Leading by example requires self-awareness, as it calls for us to be mindful of our behavior in every situation. It's easy to talk about values like honesty, respect, and compassion, but it's through our actions that we demonstrate our true commitment to these values. To lead by example, we must be conscious of the way we show up in both challenging and everyday moments. It's about maintaining consistency between what we say and what we do. If we preach kindness but respond to others with impatience or judgment, our words lose their power. When we are intentional in our actions and align them with our values, we create a life that is authentic and true to our beliefs. In addition to demonstrating positive behaviors, leading by example involves showing vulnerability. It's not about being perfect, but about embracing our flaws and learning from our mistakes. When we lead with vulnerability, we create space for others to do the same. We show that it's okay to be imperfect and that growth is a continuous journey. Vulnerability in leadership means admitting when we don't know something, asking for help, and acknowledging our mistakes. This kind of transparency fosters an environment of trust and openness where others feel safe to share their challenges, learn from each other, and grow together. It's important to remember that leading by example also involves setting healthy boundaries. Leadership isn't about doing everything for everyone or sacrificing our well-being for the sake of others. True leadership requires the courage to say no when necessary and to make decisions that honor our own limits. By setting clear boundaries and respecting our own needs, we show others that it's not only okay to prioritize oneself, but that it's essential for long-term well-being and effectiveness. This balanced approach to leadership empowers others to take care of themselves while still being effective and compassionate in their roles. Finally, leading by example is about inspiring others to step into their own leadership potential. When we demonstrate courage, vulnerability, accountability, and respect, we give others permission to do the same. True leaders empower others to become leaders in their own right. It's not about hoarding power or trying to be the center of attention. It's about creating a culture of leadership where everyone feels capable and encouraged to take initiative. By leading with grace and humility, we set the stage for others to step up, take responsibility, and make a positive impact in their own lives and communities. In conclusion, leading by example is one of the most effective and impactful ways to create lasting change and inspire others. It's about aligning our actions with our values, showing up authentically, and being accountable for the impact we have on others. Leadership is not about perfection. It's about vulnerability, responsibility, and consistency. By leading by example, we not only transform our own lives, but also inspire others to live in alignment with their own values. In this way, leadership becomes a collective effort where everyone has the opportunity to step into their own power and make a difference in the world. Courageous self-respect is not just a lofty ideal. It's a powerful, active choice to honor your own worth, integrity, and values in every area of your life. It requires us to stand firm in who we are, even when external pressures or circumstances tempt us to shrink back or compromise our beliefs. This kind of self-respect demands that we show up for ourselves in ways that are often uncomfortable, challenging, and even vulnerable. But it is through this practice that we build the foundation for a life of fulfillment and authenticity. Self-respect isn't passive. It's an act of self-love and self-protection that requires bravery, compassion, and consistency. To practice courageous self-respect, we must first cultivate a deep understanding of our own worth. We live in a world that constantly sends messages of inadequacy, whether through societal standards, media images, or interpersonal relationships. It's easy to feel that we are not enough or that we must change ourselves to fit the expectations of others. Courageous self-respect begins by rejecting these false narratives and embracing the truth that we are valuable exactly as we are. This is not about arrogance or superiority, but about understanding our inherent worth as human beings, free from the need to seek validation from external sources. When we truly believe in our value, we stop allowing others to diminish or define us. Another crucial component of courageous self-respect is the ability to stand up for yourself, especially in moments of adversity. Whether it's in your personal relationships, at work, or in social settings, there will always be situations where your values or needs are challenged. It's easy to back down or go along with what others want to avoid confrontation, but practicing self-respect means finding the strength to assert yourself. This might look like speaking up when you feel disrespected, defending your ideas or opinions when they're dismissed, or simply choosing to walk away from toxic situations. In these moments, courageous self-respect allows you to protect your peace and demonstrate to others that you are deserving of fairness and respect. Courageous self-respect also involves taking responsibility for your own happiness. We often look to others to fulfill our needs, whether it's for validation, love, or approval. But the truth is, our happiness is our own responsibility. Practicing self-respect means acknowledging that we are the architects of our own lives and that we have the power to create the conditions for our happiness. This means letting go of the belief that someone else will complete us or fix us. Instead, it's about nurturing a relationship with ourselves that is grounded in self-care, self-compassion, and self-love. By taking ownership of our emotional and mental well-being, we set the standard for how others should treat us and create a life that is fulfilling on our terms. One of the hardest but most powerful aspects of courageous self-respect is the ability to forgive ourselves. We all make mistakes, and it's easy to fall into a pattern of self-criticism and shame when we fail to meet our own expectations or the expectations of others. But courageous self-respect means recognizing that mistakes are a part of the human experience and do not diminish our value. Self-forgiveness is about releasing the grip of guilt and allowing ourselves to grow from our mistakes rather than being defined by them. It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and compassion that we would offer to a loved one who has made an error. When we practice self-forgiveness, we free ourselves from the burden of perfectionism and step into a more empowered, authentic version of ourselves. Finally, courageous self-respect is about trusting yourself. It's about believing that you are capable of making decisions that are in alignment with your values, even in the face of uncertainty. Trusting yourself means listening to your intuition and honoring your inner voice, even when others may not understand or agree with your choices. This deep trust in yourself is what empowers you to live authentically and unapologetically. When you trust yourself, you are less likely to be swayed by the opinions of others, and you become more confident in the choices you make, knowing that they reflect your true self. In conclusion, courageous self-respect is the foundation of a life lived with authenticity, integrity, and peace. It's about standing firm in your worth, setting boundaries, taking responsibility for your happiness, and trusting yourself to make choices that honor your values. It requires courage to show up for yourself consistently, to forgive yourself when needed, and to prioritize your well-being. But in doing so, you create a life that is truly your own, a life that is grounded in self-love, self-compassion, and the deep respect that you deserve. When you practice courageous self-respect, you not only create a better life for yourself, but also model a powerful example for others to follow.